Hello everyone. Today we're going to finish chapter 1. So this is 1.7. It's our problem solving problems. So the word problems that you all love. There's not too many on this. The hardest problems are probably the interest problems. But I'm here to help you get through those. So starting with number 1, it says if it takes 3 hours to complete a job, what fraction of the job is done in 1 hour? Don't overthink it. So 3 hours to do the job, you've worked for 1 hour, so 1/3. You've done 1 hour, it takes 3 hours, you've completed 1/3 of the job. I don't know how to emphasize that more. If that's confusing, send me an email and I will figure out how to talk more about that. Or your question will lead me to talk more about it. Translate the following sentence into a mathematical equation. Be sure to identify the meaning of all the symbols. It says the area of a square is the square of the length of a side. The area A equals, and it gives you a block, like a box to type into, where S is the side, where S is the length of a side. So the area of a square is the square of the length of a side. And it tells you S is the side, so area equals S squared. There's going to be a couple problems similar to this that are on the test. The next problem, so I'll go ahead and get rid of this. That was problem 2. Problem 3 says let F represent the force, M the mass, and A the acceleration, and write the equation. And they tell us force equals, so F equals force, so F equals the product of mass and acceleration, where M equals mass and A equals acceleration. So the product of it, we don't have to use a multiplication sign. I think they get mad if you actually do. So just put MA. And that's what they want you to type in because they give you F equals. There are problems like this that are on your test, and it was speed equals distance divided by time. So speed equals distance divided by time. But be able to look at them. Really, it's going to give you whatever equals, and then you just need to see what variable they're using to represent a certain thing. And like this one said product, this one said squared, this problem says division. You just have to pay attention to that. Don't overthink it. And I tried to make sure that the problems that they were going to ask for on the test were actual equations, not just random made-up ones. Okay. The total variable cost of manufacturing X dishwashers is $150 per dishwasher times the number of dishwashers manufactured. Let CV represent the variable cost and X the number of dishwashers. So they give us CV equals, and then they tell us X equals dishwashers manufactured. Oh, now that we know that X is the dishwashers manufactured, let's read it again. The total variable cost, we have this, of manufacturing X dishwashers is $150 per dishwasher times the number of dishwashers manufactured. So $150 per dishwasher times the number of dishwashers manufactured. So they told us X is this, and they told us it's 150 times dishwashers manufactured. And that's it. You stop there. Okay, here's the interest problem. Betsy, a recent retiree, requires $5,000 per year in extra income. So she needs $5,000 more per year. In extra income. She has $50,000 to invest. And we have So we're investing. And can invest in B-rated bonds, so bonds that pay 13% per year. So I'm going to put 13% by my bonds. Or in certificate deposits at 3% per year. How much money should be invested in each to realize exactly $5,000 in interest per year? So let me grab, I'm going to write our formula up here real quick. So interest equals principal times rate times time. And let's write that out. Equals principal, which is total, times rate, which is those percentages, times time, which is how many years. So one thing on ours, our time, she needs this much more each year. So time equals 1 year for ours. Our rates, here's our rates, rate, which is R, so R equals these. And then our principal is this 50,000 right here. And our goal is that our interest equals this. So we have our I's, our P, our R, and our T. What we don't know is how much I need to put in bonds and how much I need to put in CDs. So I'm going to finish that parenthesis, it's bothering me. I'm going to set it up as our principal is here. Our rate, our time is 1, so I'm not going to put it in here. I'm going to put our I right here. So we're going to have our 13% and our 3%. And then our goal when we finish all this is going to be to have 5,000. Okay, so we're going to invest a certain amount in bonds. We don't know how much we need to invest in both. That's what we're figuring out. So we're going to say we're investing X amount right here. But we're going to invest all our money to be able to get 5,000. So whatever I don't invest here, I need to invest here. So I'm going to have 50,000. Subtract what we invested here. So now everything is invested. I have X here, and whatever I didn't invest here, I'm investing here. Now, since it's principal times rate times time, which is 1, equals interest, I'm going to go ahead and say I'm changing this as well to 0.13. And this one's going to be 0.03. Because if it was 0.3, it'd be 30%, and nothing pays that much. So we're going to have 0.13x. And here we're going to have 0.03 times our principal, but since our principal here is 50,000, subtract x, I'm going to put it in parentheses. And since I want my interest to equal 5,000, I'm going to write this as an equation. I should have scooted that over. But I'm going to change this right here to 0.13x plus 0.03 times 50,000 subtract x, and this is going to equal 5,000. I don't have room for that at this moment. I'll make a little note right here. Equals 5,000. Okay. And I'm going to fix that, and you'll be able to see it in like 3 seconds. So we have 0.13x plus, let me do that real quick. Calculator. Boom, 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 where is that? calculator on this. Okay, well, let me go to, please cut this part out. And editing. All right, 50. 1, 2, 3, 4 times 0.03. $1,500. Okay, so 1,500, and then I have 0.03 times this subtract, so it's going to be a negative 0.03 equals 5,000. I'm going to combine my 0.13x and this, so I'm going to have 0.1x. I'm going to subtract my 1,500 over here, trying to get it out from the side. So 1,500 from 5,000 would give us 3,500, and then I'm going to divide by 0.1. So x equals 35,000. Make sure, double check my math. 3,500 divided by 0.1 equals 35,000. Okay. So when you go to put in your final answer, I'm going to mark this up. When you go to put in your final answer, this is going to be, we did bonds here because our bonds are at 13%. So our bonds are 3,500. Now our certificate deposits are right here at 3%. So it's 50,000 subtract this is going to give us 15,000 that was invested at 3%. So when you go to type in your answer, let me double check, make sure I'm telling you right. It's loading. So amount invested at 13% is 3,500. Amount invested at 3% is 35,000 and 15,000. There's one problem. While I'm erasing this, I'll tell you. There's one problem on the test that has some interest to it. And there's an option on it. Like one option is like, how much did you invest? And one of them's like 4,000. And the other is like 120,000 something. It's 100 something thousand, which is more than you have to invest. Because the problem says like 60,000 or something. There's so many people that mark that problem though. You can't invest more than you have. Because it's a problem similar to this, like how much do you need to invest if you have this much money and da-da-da. And they're marking that they're investing more than they have. I should have left the formula. It'll be all right. There's one more problem like this. The next problem though, it's not going to ask for both. So you really got to pay attention to where you're going to put your X. I'm going to write that one much better than this one. If that problem was too hard to read as well, let me know. And I'll change it. All right. A bank loaned out $20,000. So here's our principal. 20,000. Part of it at a rate of 9%, so we have a rate of 9%. And the rest at 19%, so this is going to be R1 at 19%. So we have two rates per year. So our time is 1 year. If the interest received totaled 3,500, so interest is going to be 3,500. How much was loaned out at 9%? So X is 9% loaned out. This is what we're finding. We want to know how much was loaned out at 9%. Okay, so our formula is interest equals principal times rate times time. Our time is 1 on this one. Anything times 1 is itself, so I'm not going to put that into our formula because it takes up a lot of room. And let's go ahead and do our principal is 20,000. And then we're gonna have our rates. We're looking for our 9%, so I'm gonna do 9% on top, which is going to be 0.09 when we multiply. And then our interest, we want to get 3,500. Okay. And then our other rate is 19%. We have 0.19 here. Okay. Since we want to know X, I'm going to put my X with my 9% because if not, I have to remember to do the subtract later. We're investing all of this. The bank loaned out all of this money, so we're not investing. The bank did. So whatever is not invested there, 20,000, subtract X. They loaned out at 19%. They got a whopping $3,500 in interest this last year. So we're going to figure out how much X is. So we're going to have 0.09X, and then we're going to have 0.19 times our 20,000, subtract X. And then I'm going to set up our equations. So we have 0.09X plus 0.19 times 20,000 subtract X equals 3,500. Getting rid of this marker. Okay, so we're going to distribute our 0.19. I'm going to make sure I do my math correctly, so let me go to the calculator. 0.19 times 20,000 equals 3,800. So I have 0.09x plus 3,800. And then 0.19 times a negative x would be 0.19x subtract equals 3,500. Now I'm going to combine my x's. So 0.09 and negative 0.19 would give me negative 0.1x, and that's okay that this is negative because when I subtract 3,800 over here, I'm going to end up with negative 300. Then I divide by this negative 0.1, not x. So x equals 3,000. And they just want that. Since they asked for x and I made sure my x went with my 9%, I just have to put in this 3,000. If I would have put x with the 19, I would have had to remember to do 20,000, subtract what I found to get the 19%. But be sure you put it with the one you're looking for. Okay, last problem on this one. If those are confusing, I also have a typed up deal with these interest problems on it, where I worked it out one year when we were doing COVID and tried to make it huge for everybody to see, but it's on a Google Doc. I think I have that shared as well with y'all. But the rates change, so it's not like I can give you just one basic way to work it out. I wonder if y'all can hear whoever that is. Okay. So we have Trent can deliver his newspapers in 10 minutes. So Trent, it takes him 10 minutes to deliver newspapers. It takes Lois, it has to be Lois. Lois, 40 minutes to do the same route. How long would it take them to deliver the newspapers if they worked together? So the formula they use for this is 1/T. It takes part of whatever time for Trent to do it. His would be 1/10. Lois would be 1/40. And that's their part that they've done. So when we go to add these together, their part of the time, we'd have 1/10 plus 1/40 equals however much it took them to do it together. Now, to be able to do this, we need them to have the same denominator, so 10 goes into 40. If I change 1/10 to a 40th, this is going to be if I change 1/10 to a 40th, for this to be the same, I did 10 times 4 to get 40, so I have to do 1 times 4. So 4 over 40 would be Trent's equivalent in 40. So 4 over 40 plus 1 over 40 equals 1 over t. And we're solving for the part in time. So now that they have common denominators, I can add it. So 4 plus 1 is 5 over 40 equals 1 over t. We can reduce this right here. So 5 goes into 40 8 times, so I would have 1 over 8 equals 1 over t. And now then they have s cross multiplying. So t times 1 and 8 times 1. So the time it takes them is 8 minutes. What I'll tell you when you get to this problem, it shouldn't take them longer than the slowest person. It should be shorter than whoever is slowest, because if it takes longer, then that person didn't do their part. Yes, it takes Lois longer to do it, but Lois is still helping them, so it needs to be less than whoever is doing it. Okay. Doing word problems without having someone here to ask questions is a little harder because I don't know where to emphasize more. And I can't think of specific parts where they ask questions on these problems. So if you get questions on these problems and I did not answer them, send me a message so I can revamp this video. Thanks, y'all.